Ahoy there, YouTube! We're back again for more of our Gencon Bonanza Explosion blog coverage here live at Gencon 2018. Thanks in part to all of our amazing Kickstarter backers and these amazing companies right here who donated games so we could come to Gencon. And also our big sponsors, Tasty Minstrel Games and Minion Games. Be sure to check out all their good stuff. Click on those clickables down below. Right now, I'm talking about the brand spanking upcoming game, Keyforge, which has a November release from Fantasy Flight Games. I just went to their in-flight report, and this was the big announcement. So it's Richard Garfield's new game. It's got a really interesting system where every single deck you buy, it's not like a TCG or an LCG, it's a completely different beast, where you're going to buy a deck. And that deck is unlike anyone else's deck in the entire world. They said there's like 1 quadrillion different combinations of decks and cards. And I actually got a chance to play an entire game of this afterwards, and here's my thoughts on it. So how it works pretty much is you're trying to forge 3 keys by collecting these embers. You'll collect embers by laying down cards, which will have an ember symbol, or stealing them from your opponent, or doing a variety of that. You're going to have 6 card hands, and on your turn, it's very simple. You have 6 cards in your hand. You are going to declare one of the 3 houses that you have. So you're going to have a deck, and it's going to be made up of 3 houses. The houses are like aliens and wolf people dudes, and there's like, you know, the dwarves or something like that. There's 7 different houses, and they all play very distinctly different. It feels kind of a little bit like Star Realms, where each one is kind of its own faction. So they're going to start with 7 of those, and you're going to shuffle up your deck, drop to 6 cards, and then you're going to play. You're going to activate one particular of the houses that you have. And all the cards in your hand that are that house you can play. And all the characters and artifacts that you have in front of you, you can play those particulars. So let's just say I had 2 aliens here and then 1 dwarf over here, and I activated the aliens. I could play both my aliens that are down here, but I could not play my dwarf. So it was a really interesting system in that aspect. Putting out cards completely free, which I also liked. It was very clean. So on your turn, you're going to play cards from your hand, or activate the cards that you have down, or discard the cards that you have in the area from that specific house. You're going to attack people, and your goal, as I mentioned, is just to get enough ember to activate the 3 keys. Now, the first thing I want to say about this game is that it was a good game. I enjoyed the game, and I'm interested to play it more and explore it more. The other thing is, wow, it needed a player aid card. And I hope in the final version of the game, especially if you get the big box, there's a player aid card, because I know there was quite a few moments where I was like, okay, so this card says I do this, and this card that says there's reap and play and action and all this. So I'm very curious. I didn't get a chance to look at the rule booklet, so I can't speak to that. But it definitely, it would be nice to have a player aid card, because there was lots of cards abilities. And let me tell you, the star of this game is without a doubt going to be the cards, because there were some cards where I was like, wait, does this do this? Does that do that? And I was like, man, these are some big, powerful cards if I can get that right synergy and that right connection to make these things work. And then my opponent, the guy that was demoing it, he was like, pa-pam, pa-pam, pa-pam. He's playing like, I just wiped out all your creatures. But I gained this thing called chain, and there's like this chain system where you can play these super powerful cards, but if you do it, you're going to take chains. And in a certain number of chains, your hand size is going to go from 6 to 5, which really kind of cripples what you're going to be able to do, which is pretty cool. You're going to have like these artifacts, which will be tapping every rounds down below, and it's a very interesting game. So I want to start off and say, I want to say it's a good game. I am somewhat skeptical for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I don't know. Like, there's no deck building in this whatsoever. You get your deck, and that is your deck. It is named a certain name. You cannot add any new cards. You cannot take away any new cards in any way, shape, or form, which I think is going to turn off a lot of people who are into deck constructions, because, you know, LCG and TCGs, one of the big things people really love to do is build these decks. And so when I heard the idea of like, oh my god, there's going to be millions and millions of card combinations, that was like, whoa, that'd be super cool. But then I feel like a lot of people are going to be turned off by the lack of deck construction. The other thing is, I don't know how I feel about buying this game and not knowing at all what my deck is going to play like. I understand what they're going for. It's like that excitement, like, whoa, this is an alien paladin, who's a face deck, and it's going to play completely different. And while I think that's a really cool idea, I just don't know if it's going to work. So, I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm looking at this from my perspective. And from my perspective is, I think this is a really cool sounding game. My question is, I don't know if it's going to hit, because it's just such a different concept. Now, that being said, gameplay-wise, I had fun with the game. I'm excited to try some of the other decks I have and play with some of the other decks. And the thing they were really stressing was the fact that you kind of learn the nuances of your deck and you learn how to play your deck, which I know is going to attract like a whole other subsection of people. And it's going to go either one of two ways. I think this is either going to fizzle out terribly, or I think it's going to get super popular and people are going to have like these boxes, kind of like a Dominion boxes, like this is my one deck and this is my other deck and this is the other deck and each one plays differently. And you know, I hope it goes that way because I would love to see more factions, because I feel like with more factions this game's just going to get even crazier, because they started with 7 factions. They talked about how it got really popular. They would add more factions, which would just add even more possibilities and more combinations. But for me personally, well, I do think I like the game and I think it's a good game. I don't know if I'm going to keep it yet. I got to play it some more. I don't know if that's really for me because I'm not able to revisit games as frequently as I would like. I could see there being a huge circuit for this game. I don't know. I'm really torn on it. Either way, that is Keyforge, coming out in November, 30 to 45 minutes, 2 players, very simple card game with lots of nuances, lots of different cards, lots to explore, which I think will be people excited about. But I don't know if people are going to dig it just for that element of there's no deck building or deck construction whatsoever. So time will tell. Either way, I'm really excited because this is a different idea. You know, let me know in the comments below if it's not. But I cannot think of another game where it's like, I bought this game, and my deck that I have here is completely different from your deck, and I have no control over that. I think it's a really interesting concept, and I'm excited to see if it works for them. So there you go. That is Keyforge, coming out in November from Fantasy Flight Games. If you're enjoying this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know, if you could go to any planet, which one would you go to? I'd go to Earth because you die on the other ones. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Earth. It's a pretty bad question. Yeah, there you go. Answer the other question I asked. Do you know any games that are like this? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.